I stick by the way we handle that. The procedure to treat the parking lot as part of Cherokee Road is more honest, left the county, left the county with fewer problems in the future, and got traffic off of Baptist County.
All that I agree with. I thought we handled it well. I just didn't know. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, take care.
Oh, but Clay, the record,
Hey, who's
when I
our
went back
planning and
and looked at
development
it,
guy? Girl,
when
whoever.
Atkinson filed an application to expand Cherokee Roads in 2000.
I know they're from.
We had
That's our planning and development people.
public hearings
Oh, do they?
on that
Okay.
application.
I don't know who the new
And
person
it
is.
resulted ultimately in the
Yeah,
neighbors
there's some new
suing
folks
her
around here.
on the basis of nuisance, where she responded.
Sitting on the internet.
But the neighbors dropped the suit when she agreed to not expand beyond what Gerald Wallen had out there. And the county commission at that time, there were two different efforts. One in '97 where the planning commission, this was when Gerald had begun to decline, and he sold the property, gave the property to Forest County.
There he is.
I mean, it was. All right, I gotta go get ready.
No problem.
Yes.
Look at this.
Oh, man, her picture's even on it.
As if y'all didn't get enough of me, you know?
2 minutes.
What's this?
Hi, sir.
Got all kinds of stuff over here. Let me take my hat off.
We have another Cherokee Roads
Oh.
discussion at PSC, that's why.
Oh, okay. Another one.
Well, I left, so
Yeah, I saw that.
Cox on PSC.
yeah. No, it's all good.
Oh,
I said, just pull out, I went and pulled my old file from 2000. And we walked through everything. That's what I was
oh, I see.
Like,
Things will never die, I guess.
I walked in there, sat down, and as soon as done.
It was interesting.
She said, "Did you see the stuff that James is saying?" I said,
yeah, find the lie.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I said, "Yep."
Our school's at 153rd out of 159. As soon as they stop being, I'll stop giving you a hard time. Until then, I'm gonna keep giving you a hard time. As well, everyone else should. Sorry. Don't you agree?
Absolutely not. I think it's disrespectful to call out other elected officials online. You should just get in their face and tell them what you think.
Well, it's not.
You know,
That's why we spent 10
I do
years
both.
developing archways so we could get along with each other. That's all I'm saying.
I do
Not
both.
saying you're wrong, I'm just saying.
So what, I'd like to know,
deliver.
what does your friend, Mr. Centel Brown think about it? Have you talked to him?
He hadn't reached out to me in a while. Funny enough. Look, I had lunch with several folks and was like, what are you doing? Well, we're gonna, and it was all just a bunch of platitudes and, well, we got a plan. And you've had the same plan for how many, like,
I have 1 minute.
we're 153rd.
153rd and what?
Out of the
Counties?
159 school districts. We're
No, but I mean, is that graduation rate, CRT?
overall ranking, our ranking is 153rd.
Not good.
I mean,
Welcome to the Board of Commissioners of Spalding County Zone Public Hearing. It is January 27th, 2022, at approximately 6 p.m. I request that everybody please put their phone on some kind of a silence and all other electronic devices. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Johnson to lead us in the invocation and Commissioner Bolden to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
If you would please stand, bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come before you today to ask for wisdom and for guidance as we continue to do the good work that you serve us to do as citizens in this community. We ask that you place your hand upon us and that we place our personal agendas aside to make these decisions. We ask this through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
amen.
If you would, please join me in the pledge to our flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For those in the audience, I'd like to make a quick announcement to make sure everybody understands from I'm Clay Davis and Commissioner Davis. The 5 commissioners for Spalding County are to my left. The left, yeah. And the zoning attorney is next over there. And then to my right is the county manager, then our county attorney, and our outstanding county clerk on this side, so everybody understands. There should be agendas in the back of the room for everybody to have. You should be able to look at the screen. What you see on the screen is exactly what's showed to us, so that there is no doubt difference between what we're seeing and what you're seeing. All right, with that, item D, public hearing. Persons desiring to speak must sign in for the appropriate application. When called, speakers must state their names and addresses and direct all comments to the board only. Speakers will be allocated 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters being considered by the Board of Commissioners on this agenda. No questions will be asked by any of the commissioners during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. Application number 1, number 21-10Z. Consider request to rezone from AR1 to R2, and R2, to R2 with the intent to apply for a special exemption for a subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, we request that this item be postponed or tabled from the night's meeting. The applicant still has some further things they need to do before they get across the finish line, so we ask that this be removed or amended from the agenda.
Motion to table.
Do I have a motion table? Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand.
Gwen, second.
Gwen,
I
I'm
did,
sorry.
sorry.
Motion was tabled. Okay, thank you. Item number 2, application 21-65S. Consider a request via special exemption application to add a manufactured home in the AR1 zoning district. Mr. Vaughn.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. The application before you tonight, Mr. Jones is not present, so applicant is not here, but for the most part, the subject property is located at 158 Grizzly Lane. This has already been a case before your Board of Appeals. Per our ordinance in the AR1 zoning classification, if you're wanting to add a mobile manufactured or trailer type home, you have to request permission via the special exception. We have some further conditions in our zoning in Spalding County that we also take into account the types of homes and the nature of homes in a quarter-mile radius around the house, so we actually take the percentages that are there. So the subject property is actually at 158 Grizzly Lane. Miss Kathy, if you wouldn't mind, pull up the location map. So, yeah, but you'll see it on your screens for the location map of where the home is. Every parcel that's within the radius that we pay attention to for the breakdown is also zoned AR1. So when it comes down to it, I believe it would be page 7 of 8 or 7 of 8 or 8. So let's get in here.
So does our ordinance say we look at properties within a half mile or a quarter mile?
Excuse me, half mile. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we look at the history of what's been put there before, whether it's stick-built or whether it's mobile home?
Yes, ma'am, that is
Okay.
correct.
I didn't, I
Okay.
don't know what.
On the third page of the staff report, if you want a breakdown of all the homes in the area, of the properties that are within the radius, 80% actually have some type of development on them, with them all being zoned AR1. There's going to be a single-family detached residence. 20% of the properties in the area are completely undeveloped at this time. So the conventional home construction is going to be 44%. Average home size in the 44%, or of the traditional stick and brick builds, roughly is 1,735 square feet of heated space. 36% of the manufactured homes in the area have a heated square footage space of 1,241 square feet. The applicant is proposing to install a new 2021 model home that's going to have 1,735 square feet of heated space. It's going to be a higher dollar valued home, and it's going to be a vast improvement from the manufactured homes that are in the area. The newest one in the area was constructed in 2006, and they range in dates all the way back to the 80s. It comes
The
in.
newest home that was constructed was in 2006?
The newest mobile or manufactured home was constructed in 2006. So any of the other trailers that are out there, the newest model that they have is a 2006 model.
Okay.
So there are other traditional stick and brick homes that have been built since then. I do not believe I have those numbers of the last one that was built, but let's see. 2019 was the newest stick-built home that was out there. But we do have a certification from the manufactured home company that it is a true 412 roof pitch, which will be compliant with our zoning. The Board of Appeals voted unanimously to approve this. Staff also makes a recommendation that we approve, subject to your approval.
518, what's the address again?
158 Grizzly Lane. So this is almost the extreme north, slightly west of 19, but right up above the county line.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I have some questions. You're our zoning guy, right?
Yes, ma'am, I'm the interim.
Tell me your name again, I'm sorry.
Brad Vaughn.
Brad, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Brad. The criteria that we've used in the past several years has been, what is the percentage, what is the trend? Are people building stick-built houses, and if they are, I mean, when you say to us that the last house that was built was in 2019, that says to me already, there's the beginning of a trend. And if the newest house that's there, the newest manufactured home that's there is 2006, so that's the kind of information I need to know, because how we've made these decisions in the past has depended on, you know, if it's trending manufactured homes or if it's trending stick built.
Yes, ma'am. There's a slight upward trend in traditional stick and brick builds that are out there. The percentages of it are roughly, of the homes, of the parcels that have homes, 60%, stick and brick build, 40% mobile and manufactured. But the newest mobile home in the area is from 2006.
2006.
Okay, thank you, that's what I
Okay.
wanted to ask.
Anything else? And your recommendation is?
Our recommendation is, it would not be against future land use map. It would be compliant with, code. The proposed unit, house that's there is gonna be an improvement from what's out there. So we would be okay issuing the building permit. We recommend approval.
Okay,
Can we go back to the map that shows which are traditional houses and which are, yeah, that one there, yeah. So, well, can you scroll so we can see the key? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Brad, do you want to check your percentages again between stick? Because I think you misstated in the staff, from what the staff report shows. I'm looking at your
sir.
summary.
Correct. So, and page 1 and page 3.
Oh,
both.
sorry. Got it turned off. Right.
So page 1 and 2 and page 3 also have it. So 80% of the parcels within a half-mile radius have a home on them. Of the 80 of the homes that have 80% or that have a house on it, 44% of those have a traditional stick and brick build, and that includes, taking out the 20% vacant homes. 36% have manufactured homes.
Okay.
So if you take the math when it comes in from traditional stick and brick to mobile or manufactured, 60-40 is your split between the parcels that actually do have a home. 20% of the parcels that are out there don't have anything on them at all.
So it's 60% stick
Stick-
built.
Of the parcels that have homes on them. If you take all the parcels into account, you've got 44% that have a stick-built house, 36% have a mobile home. But of the parcels that have a home on them,
I find myself once again agreeing with Gwen that doesn't really,
you what?
I said I find myself once again agreeing with Gwen that doesn't really meet the. You know what I mean?
Just saying.
Like,
Once we get in this meeting, it's amazing, okay?
no, but, that's not what the trend in the neighborhood's been. That's not the majority of the neighborhood. Like, it doesn't seem like it fits the requirement that we set out.
Huh?
I mean, looking at the half-mile radius, like,
And what about the 20% that hasn't been built yet? So, I mean, I'm sure that's gonna factor in this as well, I would think.
And this place used to have a trailer, a manufactured home on it.
Correct.
And it was destroyed.
Correct.
and taken off, and they're trying to replace it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Upgrade it, okay?
Well, that's good. I mean,
All right. Any more discussion?
Newton, do you have anything to add?
I'm sorry.
Do you have anything to add? No?
Yep, county attorney, zoning attorney, any comments?
No, I mean, Brad's report follows the ordinance.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion?
Oh, well, I'll make a motion that we approve application 21-10Z with the conditions stated by staff.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Okay.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, this would actually be application 2165S. I believe the 2110Z was a typo.
last
Oh,
on the
I've
other.
got that
Yeah,
one.
right.
So
Okay.
it's the
that was
last
the only
one.
typo that we got us sent originally. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Apologies. there.
All right, motion does not carry since there was no second. Do I have any other motions?
No, but you have a comment. I'm very torn about this, because when you look at this map, I think if this is the place, that one yellow spot in between all of that, yes, it doesn't do any detriment, but do we set a trend by allowing houses do we make a precedent when we've already had a policy of following the trend? And I say this because we had a lady that came here last year, said she was trying to come in, and rather than build a house, they were gonna put a mobile home here, and she was just trying to go to school. And she really was in here. And this will be a direct reversal of the same reasons why we denied for her.
True.
And for that reason, I'm uncomfortable
Get it?
with it.
I get it.
So, yeah, that's all I had to say.
All right, if we're not gonna
I agree we
approve,
should stick with what we've been doing.
if we're not gonna approve, are we gonna,
Motion to deny.
Has
All right.
anyone signed up to speak?
No, sir.
Okay.
okay? We wanna
Just
make sure,
checking.
anybody out there, okay? All right, I have a motion to deny, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3, Amendment A21-03, North Expressway Improvement Ordinance. Mr. Vaughn?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm going to defer to Newton on a lot of this because he's involved long before I got here.
Okay.
But
Do you have
I've got the big maps,
You got the big
both
map.
versions, and they should be also online, so should be on your screen as well.
all right. You should have two versions. One, a clean copy, and then a red line version. This has been through numerous revisions. If you'll remember when it was last in front of you, we extended the moratorium to allow revisions to take into account that our effort to put in similar criteria that are on that govern Bolton Parkway were not gonna work on 1941 because of the nature of the development and the fact that so much of it is developed. So, what you have is an ordinance that limits the type of developments that can be on 1941, but more importantly, includes significant improvements with regard to the aesthetics and landscaping for developments that will be developed on 1941. That's why if you will look at your red line, you can see the changes that have been made, excuse me, to accommodate this. Let me summarize it first. Bottom line is, anybody who comes in to apply for a permit on any piece of property on 1941 is essentially going to be deemed to be a planned development and their development will be tied to a site plan where they come in that you will approve. All right, the types of developments that can go in on 1941 are listed on page 4. Section B, the ordinance will allow planned single-family developments that would be under either R1 or R2. And then we have added allowance for a condo development if under R6, that is our only condo class. So therefore, the minimum house size would be 1750. If you look at number 3, we allow for planned commercial developments for commercial, highway commercial and neighborhood commercial. We do not go to heavy commercial any further. So that would limit the number of auto dealerships to what we have now. Those auto dealerships become non-conforming uses.
So they're considered heavy commercial?
They're considered, you have to go to C2 because you have to have outside storage.
Yeah, the ones that are there now, you mean?
Pardon me?
The ones that are there now, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, most of the ones that are there now, Gwen, are old C1 and they're non-conforming, but
Okay.
most of them. But to get to unenclosed outside storage that's there continuously, either as material or final product, you go to C2.
Okay.
That is now precluded.
So
All
you
right?
cannot have any C2 in that highlighted area?
That is correct. And then finally, a mixed-use development, which would include commercial, and it would include, also residential and retail. Okay.
Yeah, we don't.
Now, we did allow for, if you'll look on page 5, what is called an extraordinary development. So if someone comes in with something that does not fit easily within the other defined uses, upon certain findings before the planning commission and also before you, you will have discretion to approve those or to deny them. And you can see the criteria there. The proposed development provides unique or extraordinary benefits. It's consistent with the purpose of the ordinance, does not create an undue burden or constitute a nuisance on surrounding properties, consistent with the flume, and it must comply with all the procedures that are set out in this district. Now, there are 2 ways property could be developed. Number 1, the applicant could come in and request rezoning to one of those classes, those zoning classes where a use is permitted, okay? If that's the case, then they will go through a pre-application conference. They have to have a master plan requirement, and then the rezoning, if it is approved, is conditioned on the site plan. Now, the other way you could be developed is if the property is already zoned for what they want to do. Even if it is zoned, they still go through that same procedure to come in with a site plan, to come in with a planned development. And if you will notice on page 9, right above 2208D, any permit for development will be conditioned upon the approved master development plan. That's why I'm saying any development is going to be deemed a planned development tied to site plan and the permit tied to that. All right, now 2208, we impose general development standards, and again, this is heavy on improved landscaping. And let me tell you, we pulled these requirements, though we have some that are new to Spalding County, but we have reviewed ordinances comparable ordinances from Henry, Coweta, Clayton, and also, I believe, Cherokee. And using the counties around us, these requirements are consistent with their overlays for example, state highways. And these requirements are consistent with the types of development allowed on their state highways. So for example, Henry County has an overlay that, excuse me, is applicable to state roads, state highways, and also certain others that are designated as thoroughfares or heavier travel streets. The same is true in Coweta County for the corridor on Georgia Highway 34 from Noonan to Peachtree City. So we are consistent with those type regulations, and it is a substantial increase over what now governs development on 1941. Now, and we can go through any particular ones if you want to, but then we have specific development criteria for the types of development. So on top of having the general development criteria, we have in 2209D, planned single-family development standards. All right, this takes the zoning districts that we have that are allowed in the overlay and enhances them. Now, there is one omission, and I take responsibility for this, is because we, as I was doing the ordinance, at the very last minute, I realized we had not put in planned residential development standards for a planned development that would be governed under C6, which is our condo district. That will come back to you. If we can get this ordinance approved, that will come back to you. But it would not be something, what we're looking at is something that would be appropriate for a more density where you do have the necessary infrastructure to be able to serve that along the major road. Then we have planned commercial standards. I'm now at 2210 or 2211 on page 14. Planned commercial development standards, again, this takes C1 and C1A and increases the restrictions, or increases the development standards. And then finally, we have added planned mixed-use development standards, and this, again, allows flexibility, but quality of flexibility in development to include commercial, residential, office within that type of development. So what would happen is, and this is this one requires a minimum lot size or minimum acreage, and they have to come in with a standard plan, a plan for the development that would include all of those, and this contains criteria for those. So again, this ordinance is consistent with those that we have found for other thoroughfares and state highways. It has been revised, like I say, from the first version you saw, which was taking Arthur Bolton and trying to impose it on 1941, and you can't do it. There just isn't enough undeveloped property along 1941. But it's, like I say, it's heavy on landscaping, it limits heavy uses, and it is heavy on aesthetics and architectural controls. The only hole in this is I've got to come back with the standards for a condo district. Now, if you want to pull up the map, all right. And this will explain why we could not use Bolton Parkway as a model. All right. The Planning Commission worked this map out as to which parcels should be governed by the North Expressway Improvement District. As opposed to setting a distance, like we did on Arthur Bolton, this overlay is parcel specific. So if the parcel lies within the green boundary, it is governed by this zoning overlay. And you can see, and it's clear, that the bulk of the parcels along 1941 already have development. Development that exists and was developed without controls. Now, if you'll look just north of Birdie Road, you will see between Birdie Road and Sunnyside, there are parcels undeveloped with decent size that are going to be suitable for either planned commercial, planned residential, or planned mixed-use developments. So,
Okay, my question is, the properties that are north of Birdie Road, why would you not consider all those properties? Because you, up above that, I think that's Mentor Road, that area is quite large. And so it just seems that you have all these large parcels here. Why would you, I don't understand the rationale for how the planning committee, planning board picked and chose where they wanted to be really skinny and where they thought stuff was gonna happen.
when it goes back, look north of Birdie, I think that's Birdie. If you look north of Birdie, and that's sort of typical, you see that many of the parcels that are along 1941, that front on it, are smaller, and then the ones behind it front on Old Georgia 3. And the belief was that the appropriate, and recognizing that the appropriate line was subject to discretion, and by the way, as y'all know, y'all have the authority to change this if you don't like it. But the belief was that the coherent development would need, given what you've already got on Georgia 3, that if the parcel was existing and accessed on Georgia 3, the likelihood was there wouldn't be a lot of overlay between development on property fronting 1941 versus those that front on Georgia 3. Now, if you will look at if you go on up Birdie Road, you can see the larger tracts, okay?
Other way.
Go up, Brad, or Kathy, if you would. All right. The tracts you see here are the largest undeveloped tracts that have frontage on 1941. So, if that tract had frontage on 1941, then the entire tract was included. So that's the reason you do have what looks like a very narrow strip above Birdie Road, but then it fans out to include the larger parcels that are moving up toward Sunnyside. And go on up, Kathy, if you would, to Sunnyside. Okay. If you look at where the new Dollar General is, and then come down from there, there is a road that is basically just one lot away. Wood Road is one lot away from 1941, and the properties back behind Wood Road are houses. They're already developed as houses. So the idea there was to not affect somebody's residence if they were already, since they already had a house there.
So I guess what I'm turning in my brain is that I know we couldn't go and do an overlay like Arthur K. Bolton, but if you said that any of these properties that are C2 that are already heavy commercial, they're gonna be non-conforming once we pass this overlay.
That's
So
correct.
what is the difference if you're a residential house? If that overlay is there, you're still a residential house. It's not gonna make you, it may make you be non-conforming if you want to switch to a business. But I'm saying, I just think it could be much simpler than, what it looks like to me, because for me, it just, like, at Malier Road, and then you see Wood Road, to me, that looks like forest. So I would think, why wouldn't, if we have all that space on the other side going to Georgia 3, it would just, to me, make it much simpler to create an overlay area that since everything else, well, anyway, businesses are gonna be non-conforming, then why wouldn't any other existing something that was in the overlay zone, it wouldn't be affected by that? Because the only thing that we're really taking out is C2. It would only be affected if somebody decided to tear it down and put something else there at another time.
Correct, but it would, if you look at that Wood Road, the Wood Road and to the west of Wood Road, that would run the risk of tearing up the front part of the subdivision. For example, on Wood Road, you already have houses that are on property zone C1. All right. Excuse me, if you extended back further, the idea was that you would be impacting the residential development that's in the subdivision that's behind there. Impacting it in the sense that you would have a new demarc line for where the commercial could go. You following me?
Right, but we don't have a demarcation line right now. So I'm just simply saying that if that property, I guess the houses are on Wood Road, but beyond Wood Road, before you hit the power line, that's wooded. And certainly, if someone wanted to come in and put a commercial something there, that would make that non-developable area just as viable as the area that is right up above Malir Road.
Well, look at Malir down below. We've got one parcel that has 3 different zoning districts applied to it. There was significant discussion in Planning Commission about including those within the overlay. All right, that discussion ultimately wound up on them deciding to draw the line at Wood Road. But again, there's no magic to where the line's drawn. You have the ability to set policy. If you want to change lines on the map, all you've got to do is include it in a motion. But this is the recommendation coming to you out of P and Z.
I was gonna say, Mr. Chair, if you follow parcel lines are how property is gonna transfer when it comes in, so it makes sense to go ahead and keep the actual parcel wherever it may be, be subject to the actual overlay. That was one of the reasons why, because it's an ease of use for the transfer of land. If you look at the, we call it the Sherbert property, the one that's got the green, the orange, and the C1 that's there, those are not 3 individual parcels. That blue line is one parcel. That one parcel has 3 different split zonings when it comes in. That's where if you drop that overlay in and it's so many feet away from your center line, it creates issues like that when it comes in. If you follow the actual parcel line, so the actual entity of property, that makes it very easier for somebody to purchase it, build a single-family detached home, or someone to purchase it and build a nice department store or something of that nature that would still be compliant within the overlay. That's why the decision of parcel lines was chosen.
And there's another, Kathy, can you cursor down further? Keep going. Keep going. When you get down toward the city, these problems are enhanced. Go back up. All right, if you will look at Glenwood and keep going up.
Which map is that? That's the 5th one? That's a zoning map? Okay, sorry.
And I'm sorry, I said it wrong, C2, it's not C2, it's
C1B.
C1B that allows continuous unenclosed outside storage. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. But if you will look, if we had drawn a line a certain distance away from 1941, there were points at which the overlay would have extended east past Old Georgia 3.
But that's past the railroad track.
Right. If, for example, the Bolton Parkway has a 750 distance from the Bolton Parkway right-of-way, so if you had imposed that on North Expressway, you would have crossed the railroad at certain points. And we didn't feel like that was, the Planning Commission didn't feel like that was viable. And they didn't feel like that going past that road boundary made sense for an overlay that was intended on 1941. Kathy, keep going up, please, ma'am. And that's part of the problem you see with the cursor down just a little bit for me.
But in places, it actually is using Georgia 3 as a boundary.
There are some places where it does. That's
So
correct.
I guess my thing is that if you made the overlay and it covered residential area, it really would not affect the residential
They
area.
would still be non-conforming uses that could continue.
Right, it would only affect it if it tried to be something else.
That's correct. And again, y'all have the ability to amend the map.
Can you go back through what residential types would be viable in this and which wouldn't? Or just, let's limit it to which ones we could, given this overlay build.
Planned single family would be R1 and R2.
But you also have planned development, which could be
Which could
mostly
be
units,
what we
apartments, and or
What we foresaw was
townhouses.
not apartments, but could be townhomes, because you're on the major thoroughfare, and by limiting it to our condo district, the idea was that would not result in rental properties from new apartments being proposed. But at the same time, the idea was that the fact that it's close to and abuts 1941, it would be appropriate to have some type of residential available other than single family. So that's the single family detached. So that's the reason the condo district was used, and that would be.
I ask that specifically because driving further north on 1941, there's two relatively new developments. I think they're both in Lovejoy. And one on the west side is a bunch of duplexes, I think.
It is.
And it looks terrible.
I agree.
And there's one on the right side that's a bunch of townhomes, and it looks fantastic.
Correct.
Right, like a little
It-
skater
it-
village on
uh,
Yeah.
No-
But
no
the one
trails
on the
to
west
it.
side is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what?
And how do you allow
Who thought
that?
this was okay?
Yeah,
Like,
how did you think it was good here?
Right.
but This is right across the street from it.
So like townhomes, that, with all of our, raise the bar expectations, sounds great, but there's no reason why we should create this sort of zone and not specifically prohibit the kind of crap that's going in just north of us. Like, that kind of stuff is, you just drive past it and you're just like,
Yeah.
Duplexes.
this is the gateway,
duplexes.
as they always say, this is the gateway to Spalding County. This is how people drive south in here.
A duplex development like you're talking about, and I know which one you're talking about, those are not permitted.
Okay. I just want to be sure.
Again, you only have 3 possible options for residential development on 1941 under this ordinance. R1, 2,000 square foot detached, single-family home. R2, 1,750 square foot detached, single-family home. R6, condo, owner-occupied district.
So,
What, how do we, tangentially, how do we limit that to owner-occupied condo? Like,
Well,
what's the legality to it?
you have to have HOAs. I don't have all the stuff on R6, James, with me, but it
But
was
suffice it to say
intended
there
as our
is-
condo district with an HOA
Okay.
with standard owner occupancy type restrictions, but not, again. Now, I will tell you, we only have one piece of property zoned that, and it's not pretty. And that is the property just at the county line on 19. I think it's called Wolf Creek.
yeah, I've been there, saw them. We went down there, remember?
So what, the strategy is to enhance, the strategy is, and this is the one hole that's left in the ordinance, is enhance the development criteria for that, so you don't have Wolf Creek.
Okay.
Well, and it says, they're increasing development standards. That tells us right there that, the emphasis is the increased, not what we currently have.
We've got 5 people to speak, but I wanted to ask one more question. Bradford pears are specifically excluded from being able to be planted, right?
You're wrong for that.
They're terrible trees. They're a non-native invasive species.
You know, they planted those along 1940.
Oh.
Okay, before we
They're
let
not
people
available.
speak.
No one specifically not available.
I have this concern about, so what if you said you could have single-family houses? Are we talking about off of 19? Because I'm not thinking we're talking about road cuts.
It would have to be a planned development.
Okay, single-family planned development.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes
And
a
if you
difference.
will look at, hold on. Give me a second. It has to be a minimum of 20 acres.
Okay.
Okay?
One more thing. Okay, sidewalks in front of your development. If you're doing a planned residential, planned anything on 20 acres, and you have access, your property is on 19 and 41, I don't see anything in here that says you need to put sidewalks on the main street.
Hold on a minute. If you look at the planned single-family residential development, and that's 13, page 13, subpart C. Sidewalks required on all interior streets. I think there is another requirement under the general developments.
Yeah, that's what, I saw that, the interior streets, but I know we have been talking about
Correct. Exterior, yeah.
development, that costs go to them, and if we have to fill in between, we can do that. But that's part of their, should be part of their development requirement. I just didn't see it, that's why I was asking.
Hold on. If you want to include sidewalks, the same text for sidewalks under the general development standards, and I'm not seeing them right off, we can amend the ordinance to include it.
Yes,
I
we
mean,
do
are
want to
we
do
all
that.
in agreement about
Yes.
that?
Yeah,
right?
we're in agreement on that, no sweat. All right, well, when we make the,
Okay.
motion, we'll, add that. Okay, any more comments from, on the staff before we start, citizen comments? All right, I believe we have 5, Mr.
We do, we do not have anyone speaking in support. We have 5 people speaking in opposition. Mr. Tim Schmoker, did I say that correctly? Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address.
Tim Schmoker. I unfortunately do not have a physical residence up here. I'm moving up here from Florida to take the general manager position at the store, so I don't quite have an address yet. You could say travel camp, I guess. Biggest thing for us to state in opposition of this is that travel camp, an RV store, recreational use, we're trying to expand our lot right now to be able to really sell more units. Our store in Jacksonville, we have 7 stores so far. It'll be 8 as of February 1. Our store in Jacksonville sells 180 units a month out of that store. They bring tremendous tax dollars to that county and that area, and we plan on doing the same thing here. I mean, we can sell units as it is, as it sits, as we're permitted correctly right now, but with the intent of us expanding, this would stop that, and we wouldn't be able to do that to get to that size. For example, and I'm sorry, I don't know exactly where we are in here. I'll have to refer to, there we go. But for us to be able to expand like that, the average retail sale of our units is gonna be about $40,000 to $45,000. You take that to 200 units a month, which is very viable if we can get this passed for us to have our permit back there. That's bringing in $240,000 to $250,000 into the county every single month. For us, that's a big deal. I mean, we're trying to start and grow in this community, and Travel Camp is expanding up. We're buying another store in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and 2 more in North Carolina. But we're most concerned with this county here right now. We're trying to grow. We want to put a big impact on this community, and I think this would help us do it, to not have this imposition, I guess you would say, if we could do that.
Okay, thank you.
We do need, and even if, Mr. Smoker, even though you don't live here, we still need your resident, an address for you for the record.
Could I just have the Travel Camp address? I'm literally staying part.
That's fine, if you're an employee
Do you know
there.
what that is? 2539 North Expressway in Griffin.
All right.
Okay, thank you,
Mr.
guys.
Danny Clark.
Thank you. Hard to hear you, Mr.
I
Chapman.
understand. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Danny Clark, 110 Four Oaks Drive, Griffin, Georgia. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to speak on behalf of Travel Camp. I'm 71 years old, and I was born and raised here and been here all my life, and plan on dying here one day, hopefully. So I've been to a lot of zoning meetings over my life. But I came here a little unprepared for what y'all were going to be talking about. I came here to speak about the good people at Travel Camp. In full disclosure, I am an employee of theirs. I just went to work for them in the past couple of months. I met them a few months ago when I was working for the Griffin Daily News. As a matter of fact, they became one of my clients, and became enthralled with them because of their community interests, wanting to get involved in the chamber quickly, wanting to be involved in the civic clubs here, and the way they treated their employees, I was very impressed with. And so I went to work with them as a salesman. So that's what I'm doing, to give you full disclosure. They're really a great company, and as Tim said, the opportunity for our growth there, I think, is just tremendous. The RV industry is growing rapidly right now. And I was very surprised when we first opened up the dollars it's bringing into our community there at Travel Camp. I didn't know there was that many RVs in this area, but our service department is just covered up with them. We're very involved in trying to get involved with Sun City to help them. As far as they've got their own little park out there where they park RVs, I'm sure most of y'all know. We're trying to get involved with different aspects of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, you know how many motorhomes they have and all through the years when they have the races. These people are wonderful people. It's a family-owned business. We have an opportunity here, I think, to increase our tax base, get us some the money. And I was disheartened when I first heard, but now I'm heartened because I heard that from your attorney that there's a special purpose that y'all can override. Even if you bring this in, you can override the part of it. And I urge you to do that. If you do choose to bring this overlay in, I urge you to at least compromise and allow these people to, us, to expand our business here in Spalding County. Thank you so much for listening.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Christy Hammer.
Hi,
Name and address, please.
Christy Hammer, 10 Inland Point, Noonan, Georgia.
Okay.
So I reside in Noonan, but I work at Travel Camp. The past couple months, I've had customers from Kentucky, from Alabama. We're bringing customers from all over the place because we do give good rates, good customer service, and basically, we just want to be a good part of the community. We are working with the Georgia Radio Alliance right now, trying to get a membership with them. We have a new event manager. She's joining, I think it's Kiwanis. We're just trying to get as involved as we can, and we want to bring positivity to the community as well as money.
Okay, thank you.
Wade Nobles.
Hi, Commissioner. My name is Wade Nobles. I live at 10 Inland Point, Noonan, Georgia. I'm a new member of the Travel Camp family. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Tampa, Florida area, so we've only been here for 3 months, but it is a great town, great community. I am a consignment manager with Travel Camp, whereas I take people's RVs that are willing to not sell them themselves because they don't feel safe or they don't want the hassle, so I take that away and partner with them and try to get rid of it. I can tell you now that I've been there a good little while, and we are receiving families all over from Alabama, Louisiana, Panama City, Texas, North Carolina, Tennessee, so they're coming here not only to bring us their camper, but some of them drive more than 8 hours to us, and they spend the night here in your hotels, and they eat at your restaurant. So the whole community is benefit from this, and I agree with Danny saying that, you know, if you could just hear us out, and we're here to help, and any opportunity to do that, we'd be grateful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Andrea, how do you say your last name, please?
Strawn,
Can you spell that for me?
S-T-R-A-W-N.
Thank you.
Name and address, address.
I actually live in Griffin at 1960 Bonnie Ridge Drive.
Okay, thank you.
I grew up in Griffin. I graduated here. I moved away for a little while. I also served the Flint River Council Boy Scouts of America for 5 years. It was a great opportunity. But now I am newly employed at Travel Camp, and I'm very excited about the opportunities that we have to benefit the community. I am the event and outreach manager. I also manage the rentals, and I'm just very excited about the upcoming opportunities that we have to benefit the community.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy, can you scroll down to that now? To the travel camp location? It's like across the street from
It's right across from Chronic.
So like,
It would
south of
be-
Birdie,
Keep going.
there's like
Whoa,
Ryder.
No.
No,
go up, just a hair. There we go.
there's Vineyard, and then
No, that's not right.
is that Glenwood? Yeah, there's Glenwood. So,
Can you go to Q Public and pull it up?
I had it up on Q Public.
no, I needed it on that map. I got it on my phone.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Do we have anybody else to speak?
Okay, I understand two more people. First one, come on, come
Yeah,
on up, state your name and address. while-
Motion to allow those people to speak to.
Okay, I have a motion to allow the extra people speak. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, motion to second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, thank you. Please state your name and address, sir.
Troy Hewlin, 383 Steel Road. So I didn't come here for this. I didn't know about it, but I just like to put a little input, little bird in the ear or something, that all this, commercial, I know is coming. Residential, we need it. But if you take Sunnyside to the skating rink, all that water funnels down, goes through Manley Road, and it's flooding all that property. So if y'all thinking about doing the subdivision that y'all took off of it, it's affected by that. I have 8 acres of land down there. I tell a lot of people, and some mornings I wake up, I got 1 acre of land and 7-acre lake. What was it, 3 years ago, when Chronic flooded? I had 4 foot of water on 8 acres of land. So y'all just consider all the runoff. I know you're gonna put retention ponds in, but the more we build up there, you're flooding everybody down Manley Road, Birdie Road and stuff, because the Griffin Reservoir won't take it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yes, one more person. Good evening, sir. Please state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Trammell. I go by Jody. My address is 2930 North Expressway is my commercial property in Spalding County. I also have 2128 Jackson Road, 2130 Jackson Road, 858 Musgrove Road, 0 Musgrove Road, Seahan Road, several tracts heavily invested in this community. My main problem that I'm having here is I bought a piece of commercial property on North Expressway as an investment purpose, put a store in it. I've had it up for sale for 2 years. I've had 3 contracts on it. Every one of them fell through because of this overlay. Because you go to planning and zoning and they won't issue you anything. You talk about having rezoned, there's a moratorium. I had a company, Byron Motorsports, who's a Honda dealership, who wanted to put a dealership on North Expressway. He was going to invest in this community. He was going to put 6 figures, high 6 figures into the building, into the structure, into the property. It would have at least 20 employees, sales, service, heavily, sales tax revenue. But because of this, because it's C1 and not C1B, it had to back out, couldn't do it. Invested $30,000 into drawings and presented stuff, and it never could make it past planning and zoning because of this going on. Now, the backup offer was somebody who's going to do nothing more than store gambling machines in it that's going to bring absolutely 0 revenue to this county. The third offer is an auto shop that'll probably get shot down too because of this. So I'm stuck with a building that I'm going to be in as non-conforming. What am I supposed to do with it? How am I supposed to do this? And another concern, if you're going to eliminate C1B, where's it going to go? You're not going to have it anywhere? There's going to be, it's going to come up. You're going to have it somewhere. The way I see it, The North Expressway is a blight. And nobody likes it, and everybody wants less scrap metal yards, less title pawn shops, less lawnmower graveyards. I want it too. I agree with the emphasis on more residential and cleaning up the corridor. But you're painting with a mighty broad brush, and you're affecting people's investments. If there's other ways to go about it, you have a blight. You do, you have one. There's other ways of going about cleaning it up without spreading it other places. And you can't overlay everything. You can't totally eliminate outside storage. You just, you're kicking the can down the road, in my opinion. And I'm now stuck with a building that'll probably be, if I close the business or don't renew the license, will be non-conforming and I won't be able to sell it. It's gonna sit there vacant. So then what do we have? More problems. Another title pawn. I mean, I'll put a Starship in it. I can put a vape store in it. I can bring more of what we don't want. But that's not the goal. Like I said, I'm heavily invested in this county. And there's gotta be there's gotta be some sort of alternative for people who already own property in this area that's, you've got restrictions in one area and 3 parcels up is completely unrestricted. There's no checks and balances. And to say, well, this is where we're gonna draw the line, this is where we're gonna stop it, and whoever's caught up in the wash is collateral damage is, as well, in my mind, not a very responsible way to go about it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else? All right. Any other comments?
So this obviously needs some more work. So maybe this would be a in-service workshop. Several of the comments that people made, I totally understand that. I'm not, if Chronic dealership closed today and somebody wanted to come and put a car dealership there tomorrow, they would come and it would be non-conforming. So my question, one of the biggest questions I have is that, what happens to the people who will be non-conforming? What accommodations do we make for that? Does anybody get grandfathered in? I think there's a lot of questions that we just still need to answer, and we can just use this as a framework to build on it.
Commissioner Dunn?
I have a lot to say now.
Say it.
I want to start with how poorly I respond to threats, however veiled they are, whether they're in the mail or said here. Like, nothing is going to get me to vote against you faster than you better do what I want, or I respond very poorly to that. That said, some of the points that were raised were totally true. Hey, right now it's very spotty. This zone here, this lot has this. Hence why we're doing one big one and an overlay, so there is uniformity, so that everyone knows what's up. Hey, but aren't you gonna make exceptions? Yep, and this calls for a mechanism wherein we can do that, just like we did with the RV sales just to the north of y'all's. Hey, we want to expand and do this. Okay, if you'll do these things and make it look nice and whatever, we'll do that. I think they let us down in their end of the deal, but there's a mechanism built into this. Right now, there's a mechanism for turning that sort of stuff down. There's not really a mechanism for letting it go. This overlay creates a mechanism and a pathway to create those exceptions in a positive way, as opposed to coming at it from a negative point of view. This ends that moratorium, because we had a moratorium on it waiting on this. I'm fine keeping the moratorium in and let's working on this more. If people think that's gonna help their speculative future investments that they've made, by all means. But, you know, if we don't make this change, whether we do it tonight or whether we work on it for 6 more months and then make the change, this is how we're gonna overcome the blight. In the meantime, moratorium's gonna continue, the blight's gonna continue, the same stuff that we've always had, this sort of, you know, checkerboard of, you know, different plots is gonna continue. So, you know, I think what we've got here, could it be better? Yeah, things can always be better. Boy, you know what I'm saying? I wish I was an inch taller, but I'm pretty tall. You know what I mean? I think this helps. I think this is 100% the right direction that we're going in. All the negatives that I've heard tonight are easily overcomable and foreseen and systematically laid out the mechanism to overcome them in a positive way through this overlay. So I think there perhaps is some misconceptions about the overlay, and so that's what people are coming out to oppose. But that's what I'm hearing from the overlay from our land use attorney is that the problems that were put forward tonight don't exist. That said, tertiary to this overlay, they make a very good point. The folks that spoke tonight made a very good point about some of the water runoff and stuff. I mean, when the one culvert backed up,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge insurance claim.
Yes, no doubt.
But it, you know, that was the visible part. You know, chronic was the visible part. But, you know, there's acres and acres and acres of people's homes and stuff that are getting washed out the same way. So I think we need to do better as far as that if we're going to allow that sort of expansion, which we should. I mean, as, you know, as people want to come and they want to build great things and people want to come in, but we need to make sure that it's done so that it doesn't negatively impact the surrounding land. And I think we've made some expansions, or commissions in the past have made expansions that thought they had taken care of that, and obviously they haven't. I mean, you can look in the satellite map and look at, I mean, you can see a giant washout up there. You know what I mean? Like, that didn't happen. That happened because of the growth and the way that we're routing the water and allowing the water to be routed, I should say. So, anyway.
One more thing.
Please.
If, you know, if we plan on looking at this, if we plan on not voting on it tonight, looking at it, I think that part of this issue that they talked about with the water is that we don't really have a stormwater program. And when I say we, I'm talking about the Water Authority. And if we allow developments of the size and the magnitude that we have here, we're going to really, the retention pond is not going to get
It's
the
not enough.
runoff.
Yeah.
So as well, we need to have something in here that addresses stormwater and developments that are this big. Because clearly, if you take all the greenage and the foliage away, water is going to run. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
You know, first of all, I want you to understand that, you know, we definitely want businesses like you all to be here. I mean, just trust me, that's very important to the county overall, without a doubt. So I'm hoping that maybe somewhere, some form or fashion, we can make this work. However, I can appreciate staff actually going the extra mile and comparing this blueprint overlay, these enhancements to other surrounding counties too. You know, so it kind of puts us pretty much in line with everyone else. I mean, I guess every county has its issues. So I'm with Commissioner Flores-Taylor. I think maybe we could maybe have a work session and re-look at this to see what changes we can make, you know, so that, you know, we definitely don't want to stop the right type of businesses from coming here. But we do have to stop what we currently have, no doubt about that. So I think that needs more work, more teeth in this.
James, which way do you want to go?
Could I make one comment on this?
Yes,
If
please.
you're not going to vote tonight, your moratorium expires. Now, you don't have to enact a moratorium, but if you want the moratorium to continue, you will have to take action to extend it.
Yeah, I agree. Our options are continue the moratorium until we call this back up, or do something with this. I don't know what changes, should be made. Like, all of the issues that have been brought up tonight, there's a pathway built into this overlay, just like there is now, except more explicit in how to overcome those. So I'm not sure what changes we would make if we workshop it.
So, one example that I'm thinking of in my mind, if say the people with the travel camp, I'm looking at their lot, is very long and skinny. If by some chance they were able to expand, if they're expanding on their existing lot, there's nothing that we can do about that. That's just, it is what it is. But if they wanted to expand to a lot that was adjacent to that, then we're creating a situation where they have to go through all these hoops to expand an existing building. And, I'm like you guys. You coming into the community, you're spending money, you're investing in the community. We just need to look at this to make sure that we're not putting a squash on people who've already invested in the community in the way that we wanted them to be invested.
I think you make a great point, but there's also people in this overlay district that have invested in the community and in a bad way. And if we say, hey, if you've already got one, you can expand, then so can those people. So we want folks to have to come back and say, oh yeah, you are a good, you're doing what we want. This is you're bringing value to the community. You're not building a parking lot that you then fill up with junk cars, and so people have to park on the side of 1941.
So I didn't hear him.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I didn't read in there where it actually gave us an option. It says that no heavy commercial. You see what I'm saying? So if that is carte blanche.
Heavy commercial is C2, but there's C1 and there's C1B. C1B allows for that outside storage, which is what these cats would need. They wouldn't need C2, they would need C1B, right?
But that's correct, but this allows C1 and C1A, which is your neighborhood commercial zone. Now.
Well, it right now allows for that, like, on its face. But it does say that if somebody came in and needed those variances, they could come in and still ask for that, right?
What will qualify as an extraordinary development will be
Extraordinary
dependent upon what you determine is extraordinary.
Right.
Well, okay.
You said
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As long as we got some mechanisms.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And I think it's important these guys came tonight, but there are lots of people on 19 and 41. May not be a bad idea to at least offer some public hearing. If they come, fine.
Well, no,
If they
this-
don't come, we gave up people an opportunity to.
How well posted and noticed was this? Was there signs all the way up the road?
No, sir. There were no signs on 19 North. This was published in the
Okay.
newspaper, and this was
We got
published on the doors.
So,
We went through standard ZPL publication requirements.
do we need to
Let's throw up
amend
some
the
signs and
agenda
do
to ask to table to extend the moratorium? Okay, I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add discussion and decision on extending the moratorium on the North Expressway overlay district.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of amending the agenda, raise your hand. 5-0, thank you. Agenda's now been amended.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the existing moratorium for Northeast Expressway overlay for,
How long we need?
You want to put it on the second meeting, or the zoning meeting in February?
February. Will
Is
we
that
be
enough
able to
ti-
have a
enough time?
give public notice?
Oh, no.
This is like 10 days, right? It's not like a,
What's it, the county manager?
but
what do you think?
like,
You'll have to have publication at least 30, but not more than 45 days in advance.
Okay,
I would,
60
I would.
days.
so
60.
then put it in
if you're-
March,
I would say at least into March.
and then we can table this until that same date.
And what I would say is March 31st,
Okay,
even though that's a little leeway past your
Sure.
zoning hearing date.
Sure.
so that will be
Okay.
part of my motion. The date would be extended to March 31st, 2022.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. All right, We still have the motion on the amendment to the North Express improvement over,
Motion to table until the March, planning and zoning.
31st.
okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Thank you.
So did we agree that we would have a work session, or we're saying we don't need one? Do we need to plan that, or no?
We want
It's up to you.
Well, I don't know.
We'll use
Plane's
the
gonna be gone
the
out
public
of town.
hearing is,
The March one I will be gone for. Now,
How quick can you shop that
That's
for
right.
us, Steve?
That's right.
Okay, we're 30 to 45 days away from being able to do this, so we're past the March date.
What?
For notification, how long do we need?
At least 30, but not more than 45.
30, this is
So we can.
But
we
that's,
can
have a-
but,
Could do it.
late
today's-
February.
Today's the 27th. There's only 27, 28 days in
February,
so
yeah.
you can make the end of March. You can make the end of March
Yeah, you can make the end of March.
That's okay.
and
I
meet the
don't-
publication
this is not
requirements. Now,
something-
for y'all to
Yeah.
have a public hearing
This
or a
is-
public discussion, that's
Yeah.
within your
Or if
discretion.
you can do this.
That is not governed by
By,
zoning procedures.
That's
So-
correct. So we will work the details and make sure that we get this done as quickly as we can.
that would be wonderful.
All right,
Did you guys, did you guys hear anything tonight? Any issues that we could integrate into there? I mean, I didn't really hear anything that stood out that was like, oh, yeah, we need to, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we have the idea of.
sidewalks and
Here-
stormwater.
Sidewalk, yeah.
Sidewalks and
Sidewalks are
stormwater.
fine. The bottom line is, you're confronted with the same issue that's been on 1941
Yep.
for a long time, and that is continuous, unenclosed, outside storage principally tied to finished products related to automotive dealerships or in the travel case, the RVs. All right, that's the same issue y'all have been dealing with. And you either, now, you can do an overlay and simply allow C1B as part of the commercial developments that you allow. Okay?
No, I like the exception idea of like, boy, you have an awesome business, you're doing great, look at how awesome it looks. We would love to make this exceptional expansion for you. Whereas like, no, we promise we'll do new curb cuts and plant stuff and pick up all the trash. Thanks for the zoning, and we didn't.
Right.
I would rather not put, just saying, however we discuss it. I mean, I think we could have a meeting before our meeting. I mean, it could work something like that, but
We definitely need to.
But I agree with you, James, that we have a lot that is ugly on 1941. And to be fair, if we allow carte blanche C1B,
Right.
we just continue to have the
Right.
same problem.
Well-
So the mechanism is, how are we gonna be allowed to make exceptions? And I think that's what the question is gonna be.
All right? Where are we now?
If they show up with Bentleys, we'll probably qualify as an extraordinary development.
What, giving us all a Bentley?
Right.
Okay, that's on record.
No, but, you know what I mean, like that's, yeah.
All right, moving on, new business. Item number 1, none, other business. Consider engagement of Carolyn Lofton with Murray Barnes Pfister LLP to complete the work as bond counsel and serve as disclosure counsel for the T-Splosh. Dr. Ledbetter.
I'm gonna coordinate with county attorney, on this one, but Carolyn Lofton was, with King and Spalding. She was our bond attorney. She left King and Spalding. She works for Murray Barnes and Finster. We've had a lot of conversation about continuing with the use of Carolyn Lofton as our bond attorney. She's very familiar with the work that we have in the county. She comes with great credentials, highly recommended by Raymond James. And the difference between the pricing that we have, the last time we bonded up with King and Spalding, it was roughly $125,000. And the information that we've received from Ms. Lofton is that it's going to be substantially less in her contracting for the county district.
What's her rate?
She's doing it for a flat fee. It's included in her engagement. It is 25 to complete the bond, and then 25,000.
Right.
To complete the bond, and 30,000.
55.
For the disclosure. So it is
That's not bad.
about, with expenses, under $60,000.
And we know exactly how much it is, as opposed to like, I don't know how many hours of my $1,500 an hour.
That is correct.
And Caroline has been extremely responsive to both Kathy and I. Since she has left, we have not had any response at all regarding our T-Splosh.
That does not surprise me from here.
So since when did she leave?
She left at the end of the year.
So, 3 weeks, we haven't heard anything.
No, actually, it's been since the November election, we haven't heard anything.
Since it passed.
She was in transition.
Yeah.
during
So,
that time.
It's pretty normal with CPAs and lawyers to like actually follow the lawyer and not the law firm, so that's pretty.
And she comes with high recommendations, and this firm as well, from Todd Barnes with Raymond James, who is not related to the Barnes
so
Yes, thank
in
you.
the firm.
my concern with this is that we're cherry picking. If we're looking at who's gonna give us the service, and I guess price and services are the same, why are we not bidding out a $60,000 contract? Isn't that part of our
Well,
purchasing
the price
policy?
wouldn't be the same. King and Spalding, if we stayed with them, is gonna bill us $1,500 an hour for a nebulous amount of hours. And the last time it was like
I get that.
$150,000.
What I'm saying is we're skipping a step. We're
The
just
actual
picking
bid.
somebody, but it is obvious in our policy that any expenditures of this size should be bid out. So we need to acknowledge that we're not following our own policies if we do that. I don't have a problem with it. I
This
love
is
the idea.
professional services, so there's no requirement that you bid it out, and you did not bid out your King and Spalding engagement.
How long have they been with us, by the way?
How long have we been?
King and Spalding.
20-something years,
I mean, they've done,
20 or 30,
Yeah.
20,
There-
30
There's
years.
only like 3 firms in the state that do this, so like, that's why they can charge $1 zillion.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Stephanie, are you sure that our policy says that we don't have to,
professional services, and you do not have to bid out professional services.
And I think it's professional services, like, directly for the county, as opposed to like professional services for the court or a body or whatever, like, yeah.
Attorneys, such
Right.
as,
Right.
engineering,
All right.
now, you don't have to, but
that's
for
correct.
full disclosure, you know, not that we would pick our family to do this, but I'm just simply saying that's where I'm standing on, is
It's a good
make
point.
it always clear and transparent.
Yep. All right,
More transparency, the better.
okay. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 4. All those opposed? 1. Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 2. Consider request for approval of resolution setting qualifying fees for publication for each county office to be filled in the upcoming general primary and general election as provided by OCGA Section 21-2-131A1 and A2, County Commissioner, Districts 2 and 5, Solicitor, and Board of Education, Districts 1, 3, and 5. Mr. Ledbetter, Dr. Ledbetter.
So I will read the resolution for us this evening. Whereas the Board of Commissioners is the governing authority for Spalding County, Georgia, and whereas the Board of Commissioners is required by OCGA 21-2-131 to set and publish qualifying fees for county offices no later than February 1 of any year in which a general primary, nonpartisan election or general election is to be held. And whereas the qualifying fee is required to be 3% of the base salary including supplements, cost of living adjustments, and longevity increases for the offices shown below. Now therefore be it resolved, the board hereby approves the qualifying fees for elected officials for 2022 as follows. County Commissioner, the total gross salary for 2021 was $15,306.50. The 3% qualifying fee is $459.20. For solicitor, the total gross salary is $139,846.74. 3% qualifying fee is $4,195.40. Member, Board of Education, the total gross salary, $9,237. 3% qualifying fee is $278.19. Be it further resolved, these qualifying fees shall be published in the General Organ of the county as required by law. One of the things that the county attorney and I did speak about is that we would like to bring this back to you at the February meeting so that we can set this as a schedule posted in the county clerk's office, and we will put these figures in the legal organ every year without bringing this back to you until such time as we change the salaries. But for this evening, we would ask that you approve the recommendation of staff to make this the qualifying fees for this year.
Somebody not up for election should approve this. It's both of us,
Oh,
have
you
to
are?
pay this, so.
Oh,
I mean, I'm in favor of that, it's just weird if
Motion to
I,
approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion?
hey, Stephanie, should we have to,
that's
because we're the
true.
ones that are paying it this year, like, is there any kind of,
You need to vote.
okay, I wanted to
Yep,
make
yep,
sure that
good
we're
point,
not.
good point. All right,
You know.
any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries.
And
Thank
you're
you.
voting for it, so it's not like you're voting it down.
Well, I mean, I just want to,
Yeah,
you know.
it would make, you know,
I get to do it twice.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. All right, item number 3, consider a resolution to delay the payment of any ARPA funds until the county has received the funding in its entirety. Dr. Ledbetter.
Bear with me just for a moment. So this evening, we are asking the commissioners to consider a resolution, and I'll go ahead and read this in full. Whereas the Spalding County Board of Commissioners, the governing authority for Spalding County, Georgia, has received the first round of funding for the American Rescue Act to provide funds to state, local, and tribal governments that have been negatively impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. And whereas the Spalding County Board of Commissioners have expressed their desire to spend $3 million of these funds in emergency repairs for our Spalding County Jail. And whereas the Spalding County Board of Commissioners wish to withhold any further expenditures of these funds pending receipt of the remainder of the funds to be awarded to Spalding County by the ARPA Act. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Spalding County Board of Commissioners hereby approve the expenditure of ARPA funding as outlined in paragraph 2 of this resolution, and agree to withhold any further expenditure of these funds until the remainder of the funds have been received. So resolved this 27th day of January 2022. This is a recommendation by staff to withhold any additional expenditures until such time as we have a workshop so we can define what those expenditures are going to be and set a budget for the remaining funds. I think that's important, not only for us, but for our community to have input for what we're going to spend these funds for.
and we're certain that the $3 million we're using for the jail is part of this.
That's correct.
Okay, make sure that's
Okay.
correct.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. More discussion? Yes.
Yes, I'm just feeling some kind of way about what you said, Steve, because we've already committed ourselves as a Board of Commissioners to spend $6 million.
What extent?
Is it $6 million out of the funds that we've already committed to spend? The Sheriff's Department and.
This is what we talked about at the retreat you're talking about.
Right, so how many other, what amount of funds will that leave? And I know we're supposed to get the other half at some point. In all of this, and we didn't talk about this in the retreat, whatever happened to the premium pay that we were going to give our essential workers because you could give them that out of ARPA. I mean, we kind of got out of the, oh my God, I'm scared, nobody's wearing a mask in here, but everybody was going to work, but we have failed to go back and really address that for our employees.
That's the real purpose of this thing, is not to do anything with the funding until we come to agreement to say,
Okay, I
we're
just
going
want
to
to
do
make
that.
sure we don't forget our
Yes,
folks.
and we don't have the money all here yet. And spending money that the government, federal government says we're gonna get,
Well, yeah, I mean,
Not
I
good business.
totally get that, but, I
yeah,
mean,
we've got priorities we're gonna have to talk our way through.
okay.
And that's a huge discussion point that we're gonna make. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Motion carries. Thank you. I have two comments for the board. I'd like to get a workshop on the, right now set up for the 21st, which is our next meeting, meeting after next. It'll be President's Day, so everybody understands, at 9 o'clock on the 21st.
Okay.
There may be a requirement, so everybody knows before that one even.
Is that a federal holiday?
It is not a county holiday.
It is a federal holiday.
Oh, okay, you know,
Yeah.
I'm about getting that federal holiday. Okay, so 9 o'clock,
9 o'clock on the
21st?
21st for a workshop. You may see some emails from the county manager about having another one before then even to get everything ready to
Sure.
go. To make sure we've all ready to go as we get closer to March.
Right.
All right, secondly,
900, right?
9 o'clock, yeah, 900, 900 for me. Secondly, have the county manager setting up a meeting with everybody we have appointed to boards, commissions, any words like that, any of those people we have appointed, no matter if they're someplace else, to come in. I want to do a appreciation, really 3 parts. Appreciation, one, I'm going to ask the county attorney to give a series of training to at least the chairman and the vice chairman. Everybody can sit through it and be able to watch it. We've seen some incidences where we have not done the right thing to do that. And lastly, for me, being new, I'm going to make sure that I get an opportunity to see everybody from my district and shake hands and talk with them and make sure that they have an opportunity to spend some time with me as a whole. So get ready. I've asked the county manager to set up a date, work that before the 1st of March.
Wow.
So it's coming pretty soon to be able to do that.
So that means he's gonna have to contact everybody that's been appointed now, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
everybody
It's
that's
gonna
been
take some
appointed
work,
to
I mean.
anything, ARC, it doesn't really matter. All of us coming together and have an opportunity to be trained, and for us also to say to them, thank you for volunteering your time to be able to do that. We'll do it at the senior center with a luncheon.
Okay.
And then after the lunch, my intent is to do the first part, have lunch with them, say thank you and everything else, then go into the training. But the county manager can set it up however he's fit to be able to do that.
We're gonna have to notice that meeting, because like, enough of us are gonna be there.
Oh, I expect all of us to, yes, yeah, all of us to be there and have an opportunity to talk to your people.
Yeah.
I think only Gwen knows everybody that's probably she's ever appointed. I've got people before me to do that. All right?
I'm excited about doing that training. I really want to do something that's interactive so that, we're actually doing some role play.
So maybe you can let us show how to run the worst meeting. 'Cause we're really good at it.
I'm sure that's on video
We
somewhere.
do all right, we do all right.
No, but I'm just saying, you know, when you talk about how to run a meeting, there's always the scenario where everybody's just showing they behind.
This is
We would be
4
good at
hours.
We do that.
So everybody knows, this is a 4-hour session. So when we get the dates and everything else, this is not just come have lunch and we're gonna leave. This is gonna be a long period of time to be able to do this. All right, any other comments? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second. All right, first, any discussion?
No.
All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0.
Hey,
Thank you for all coming and listening to us tonight.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to be here.
that's right. Got to get out of here.
They just have something called a
That's not bad.
I'm so proud of y'all for getting off
Kathy.
out here at night.
At our next meeting, what's his name?
Bishop Lyons Styler.
Is gonna come and, give the invocation.
Both Brian and Styler are Lyons.
Okay.
Spanish teacher.
Oh, yeah, I met him.
Sorry. Yeah, he was my dad's.
Have a good night,
second
Ryan.
pastor's, like second assistant pastor, and now he's
It's nice meeting your wife the other day.